Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back from church. I believe we are enjoying the afternoon this Sunday. Welcome to the Speak the Truth in Love ministry with Miss Veronica Miranda Benedictio. And in today's video, I want to share something I believe may be a little sensitive, but I believe we are delivered to deliver others. And the message to my title is How the Demon of Laziness Fights Modern Day Marriages Among We Ladies in this day and era. First of all, I'll be very clear. I'm not yet married, but I do counseling with married ladies. I read a lot about marriage. I'm on I'm on marriage platforms, and at times the things I share are out of things I see in the world, out of the things I read, out of the things I do in counseling. So at times I do not share them because I am living them. And there's something I usually ask myself. I'm usually silenced by so many people. What are you sharing about marriage when you are not married? You only share the theory. You hardly understand what the practical bit is. And there's something I usually ask myself. If I can go and do a PhD in something and I master the skills in everything, why does knowing about marriage or reading about marriage or learning about marriage seem to be something, you hardly know what you are talking about, Veronica, I asked myself, if I went I pursued a journalism course, how come I learned journalistic skills, how come we're in school and we learn chemistry formulas and what, but when it comes to marriage, how come we are silenced? You cannot share something you have no practical about, kyenbuuza abantu buli makanika asobola okukanika emmotoka, so there are certain things you don't need to have the experience to share them, because when we get to know, the Holy Spirit has wisdom and he gives it to us. At times you read the Bible, at times you are seeing these things in day-to-day life and you're sharing them, It is why I tell people, if you feel offended by what I share and they call it Miss Know It All, Miss Judgy, Miss Perfect, please do not listen, because there are many out there who really love these messages, because there are people who really give me feedback, how they love what they are learning, and I believe I'm also on a journey. As I'm teaching them, I'm also teaching myself, So let's dive in our today's topic that I want to give a title, How the Demon of Laziness Fights Modern Marriages. One, we have to know at times we are our own demons. We have opened doors in our marriages and we are blaming witch doctors, we are blaming the devil, we are blaming stepmothers, we are blaming curses, but at times we are our own demons, And why I share these things, because partly that used to be my life before I got to know certain truths. It is why I speak to myself and I'm like, God, thank God I never got married at 24, 25, which was my desire, because by now I would be out if I had not known some of these truths. I would be so disturbed, I would be so discouraged, because knowledge is power. Omuganda, okumanya maanyi, and we have to know, whenever you have knowledge about certain things, you won't repeat certain things you have seen in your family, you have seen in society, because you have known truth that has set you free, And it's why I tell people, at times when we know truth that sets us free, I believe it is something beautiful to also help others out there. It takes me to my topic of sharing about how the demon of laziness fights most women. At times as ladies, we are opening doors in our marriage because of laziness. Let me speak to myself and let me speak to ladies. Laziness is a demon that fights marriage, even people unknowingly. It doesn't matter how you fast, how you pray, how you go to pastors to pray for you. At times, all we need to work on is that laziness in our marriages, because we live at a day and time where, personally, Veronica, I'm a little bit disturbed at times, Your friends are getting married, we attend bridal showers, and then we get these so-called singers who are coming to give us the girl talk, and then they are teaching you things that at times are just natural, but because we have not known certain truths about what is taking us to marriage. There are things I tell people, because But personally, I don't attend bridal showers because I don't want my mind to be like polluted with things, and it's not yet my season, and you're learning things from people at times who are not like, like I think we see some of those singers, even they have failed in their marriages, but they are coming up to share, they are teaching girls sex styles, but who hardly shares this truth with young girls, that hard work is something very important in marriage. And then you find we are in a generation, young girls get married because we are very lazy. At times ladies are fighting their own marriages through that demon of laziness. And you are saying how people have bewitched you, how people cursed you, how you have generational curses, but you are your own demon because you do not want to work. We live at a day and time where you find women, they keep on their phones. They keep on their phones the whole day. At the end of the day, you can hardly do anything for a man. There are things because at times you sit with your guy friends and they share these things. A man has spent a lot of money on giving you a luxurious wedding. And you find the lady can hardly do anything for the man. Because to her it is being on her phone, it is watching Telemundus, it is watching movies, and at the end of the day we are living in a disturbed generation because no one is addressing such things to the younger girls or the younger generation, that it's something very important to know how to take on your responsibility as a wife when you get married. No, there are things we take for granted, but they are ruining the entire generation. At times we are so full of the blame game. My stepmother bewitched me, my mother did this one did this one did this, and you are running to pastors for prayers, but you are your own demon because you are very lazy in your house. The Bible says in Proverbs 14 verse 1, a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one with her own hands tears it down. Nti omukyalo omugezigezi azimba ennyumba ye naye omusirusiru agisuula n'emikono gye, agimenya n'emikono gye. At times you are only running your marriage because of laziness. No, there are things at times as women we are opening doors, and the reason why you will find a man is acting funny because as a woman you're also not taking on your responsibility of being a helper to the husband, and that is what God knew in creation. You're supposed to be this man's helper. No, there are things I tell people we take for granted. At times we are breaking our own marriages. Ladies are breaking their own marriages because we are not using wisdom. You find a lady keeps at the prayer mountain, she keeps at the church, but she has left her husband home. Tamufumbira mmere talina kyakola. At the end of the day, you are breaking demons, and you are your own demon because you have not known certain truths. And these things start from way back when we are still young kids. You find a young girl at the university in secondary school and she cannot wash her knickers. Omukozi ewaka yamwoleza empale, knickers ze zakeera okwambala. N'ogamba oba tuli kuki, and people will tell you nedda ateekamu panty liner so omuntu ne wamwoleza empale. No, let me speak to ladies out there. No, ladies, there are certain things we have to know truth about. As a lady, you cannot give your underwear to a house help. Things like bras, petticoats, how can you begin giving them to someone to wash for you? And that's why we see those young, they steal your husband, they steal your marriage, and then you begin complaining. But there are things we have to use wisdom. No, we live in a generation, you will find a lady makes nails, and to her nails are everything. She keeps over 20 knickers, tasa akoza ampale, kutiko agenda kononika. And there are things I ask ladies in our generation. No, there are things, Veronica, I know. They are not evil. Well, mukama yamanya ekintu ky'okusiga enjala ky'abakyala. But there are things about long nails that speak much about us. Long nails are not bad, but have sizable nails that also enable you to do your house chores as a woman. Take on your responsibilities as a woman. No, there are things I'm telling me, myself, and these are my opinions. At times, our nails speak much about our hygiene. Tosobola kungamba nti olina enjala zenkana eri, oba how do you clean your private parts? And that is the generation. And then these young girls, we are grooming, are only looking at that. It is what they see as stylish. No, you find a mother in her home, she sits on her phone the whole day. Akulaga ali ku TV, alaba telemundu, alaba movie. And at the end of the day, you are raising young girls in your home. What will they do? They will also know that is the way to go. Because you pay a house help mitwale etano, you give this house help 50k and she's doing all your hustle, and you're on your phone. And that is the demon of laziness I'm talking about in this video. No, you can't say it is ekintu ky'abakyala okukola enjala, but make nails that are sizable and you can do house chores. Because you cannot say you're keeping 20 knickers because you don't want your nails to get spoiled. No, there are things I tell women. Beauty will get you a man. A good figure will get you a man. But character is what keeps a man. Whenever you are lazy, you are on opening doors for your husband to look elsewhere because you cannot look after him. And these are the things I speak to myself, I speak to ladies out there. Because at times we are concentrating on our men's weaknesses, but we are the ones that have opened doors in our marriages. And it is why even men are forced to go and look for other women. Because as a woman, you are not taking on your roles as a lady. No, there are things I tell ladies. I counsel so many ladies. You are a lady, but you only concentrate on your husband's weakness in the home. Olaba bibi byokka. Chovolaba obo bukyala eyo ebweru. They are very smart. Even you say they use witchcraft, but it's not witchcraft. Because they know how to compliment them, they know how to make them smile. But for you, every time the man comes at home, you are showing him his weaknesses. You are showing him his flaws. But you are neither perfect. And because we have not known truths that marriage is about covering each other's weaknesses. What again kusangayo malaika. But as a woman, you are concentrating on your husband's weaknesses, on his flaws, and the reason you see, he's always running away from home. Because all you show him as are his weaknesses, his flaws, his mistakes. But at times as a woman, you are the one who is opening doors for these mistakes and flaws in your house because you are lazy. And it's the reason I'm speaking to myself about how the demon of laziness fights women. No, there are things I tell people, we are very good at following trends. We are following Shiba, Spicy, the Abatakumanyi. And you find someone can hardly look after their home. They can hardly take on their position as a wife in their home. Kubanga, you are following people on social media even who have no time for you. A woman can hardly cook food for their husband. Because she knows she has a house help. No, there are certain things I tell women. It does not matter how much sex you have. There are certain things to men that they also need, that their needs. We are told, another way to a man's heart is his stomach. There are things you won't take for granted and you think the man will be happy with you because you know all the sex, but you are not taking on your roles of looking after this man because God knew he's your helper. No, there are things I speak to women. Some of be a lady where your home is a safe haven for your husband. Neno sango omukyala ewaka kuyomba buyombi buli ssaawa. Omusajja wakomawo regulo natandika okweraliikira omukazi agenda kutandika kuyomba. You are very, very quarrelsome as a woman. No, I speak to myself because that was also my character. Ng'oli muyombi bulungi. And there are things you read in the Bible. Me, I tell people, I don't share out of just talking. When you read Proverbs chapter 21 verse 9, Solomon, the richest king, he said, better to live on the corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome woman. Bananga tewali muntu ayagala mukyala ayomba. Omusajja kyobola busaawa ajja kulaga adduka mu bbaala, adduka muwa, adduka ku mupiira kubanga toyina mirembe waka. Your home is not a safe haven. Omwami buli wava kuli muneeralikiraho kati ngenda mu kino because you have not made your home a safe haven for your husband to enjoy the house. Proverbs 21:19 says, better to live in a desert than to live with a quarreled and ill-tempered wife. Oli mukyala naye ng'olina tempe mbi. You have a very bad temper. And these are the things I speak to myself or I tell women. There are certain things, however beautiful you may be, that they will make a man run away. No, there are things I tell women. A beautiful face, a beautiful figure. But at the end of the day, these bodies grow. And now it is character that keeps a marriage. Chembambulira abaana abawala obufumbo mpisa. There are things like respect. Respect to a man is equally a need as intimacy. You cannot be a lady and you are shouting at the man in your home and you think you'll have peace in your home. No, there are things I tell these planned kids. You shout at a man and you hardly know you are only lowering his ego. No, there are things I tell women. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are, but you are very disrespectful. No man wants a disrespectful wife. And let us learn this. Veronica, also learn this. Because at times, whatever is fighting your marriage is being disrespectful. Toina pisa. Nebusa omanyi bandoga omanyi ndi wa pastor ngenze musabo naye nga toyina mpisa nga zikulemeseza obufumbo. You are very disrespectful as a woman. No, there are things I tell ladies. I'm not yet married, but I counsel women. I read things. Your appearance. Your appearance to a man matters. Most women take men for granted because they married them. Nobere waka amabere galiwe gati otadeko bi headscarves wenno wunyo obutungu lati omusajja yakuwasa. As a reason you find they are running out to look at those smart girls. Because you have not known certain truths as a married woman that your appearance to a man is also very important. No, there are things I tell women. Wobo sobola kwekuba perfume ngogenda mu town ngogenda mu office. Wacho wakati sajja kubira mwami wo. And that is the generation. The things that fight marriage. You find women rakuba yazala. No, we know buli pepena tuzalane tuchuka. But look after yourself. Because a beautiful countenance, a man will also want to be in a house where he's looking at a beautiful woman. But at the end of the day, you wake up, you put in your headscarves, you're putting you know butungu lwanti ofumba amabere gali eri tewefaako. And the reason my friends tell me, those men friends, I also run around, I want to look at these young girls who are smart. No, ladies, let me share. You go kuwana kumwami wo. Learn how to compliment your husband. It is those ladies out there who are complimenting him. All you're showing him is his weaknesses, how he's a loser, how he has nothing, and and at the end of the day, buli obwana obuwala bubera very smart. Ojagamba bukosa dogo nenga bo bukodyo bubumanyi. Because everyone, we are just human. Buli omu gye bamuwaana gy'ayagala okubeera. At the end of the day, you are only concentrating on his flaws and weaknesses, but do you ever look at his good side? Do you ever appreciate him? Banange mwami wange webale kulabirira baana, because there are men out there who have money but they're not paying school fees for their men. Do you ever tell your husband how he's handsome? Even my friends tell me, mugamba ko chinga si mulungi, my dear. Nga wali wachi mugamba, because for you all you know is how to take him for granted. And these are things I'm sharing with young girls. At the end of the day, we have to know there are certain things that are fighting marriages because we have not known certain truths. Then it takes me to insecurity. As a lady, you are so insecure, and it's the reason why you have battles in your marriage. Tewekiririzam. Nidakambulira batawa to be same. It's the reason I tell singles. Being single is not a curse, but it's a season of preparation. Whenever you are insecure as a woman, you become a problem to a man. Omwami buli womulabako n'omuntu omulala oba n'omukyala omulala amwagala. When the man comes home late, abadde na mukyala. Even at times men are so innocent. Oba omwami traffic jam amukutte oba alina byabadde akola n'otandika omususpectinga. And what brings, because you are insecure as a lady, you do not believe in yourself, and then you begin putting your problems on the man. And that is what is disturbing your marriage, because you are insecure as a lady. You do not believe in yourself. Whenever you see your husband looking at anyone better than you, gazivaako. Why? Because you do not believe in yourself. And this is how the demon of insecurity fights marriages. People unknowingly. Every time you are suspecting your man, and then you break trust in your home because of your demon of insecurity. You have not worked on your insecurities as a woman, and you are passing this to your husband because you do not believe in yourself. No, there are things I tell women. We are talking about the demon of laziness. No sanga abachala, at the end of the day, you are not supporting omwami wo okwezimba. Oli mu byakweraga. No, there are things I tell ladies. You cannot say you are still renting a house, but you call chefs to cook in your house. And you're giving chefs 500,000. But you are still renting a house. No sango omwana omuwala, lwakuba naye ayagala kulaba omwana wange bamukoledde birthday ya sente bweziti. You are renting a house and you're not using wisdom. No, there are some women, they are not adding to men, but are only subtracting from them. Be a wise woman who adds to your man. No, you find a woman, she can hardly bring anything at home. Senteze zizena like nabe wabwe. And at the end of the day, it is why God calls you a helper. Omwami kagule nyama ogule nyanya. Omwami kagule pampa ogule chino. But me, I don't use my money. And these are your own children. And it's the reason God knew Adam needed a helper. Because at the end of the day, when two people are in a home and they are complementing each other, it is how marriage becomes beautiful. But we live in a generation where people are competing in their marriages. and not complimenting each other in their marriages, which is so wrong. No, these are things I'm telling you. People have no peace in their homes because you are quarrelsome. Bananga batala tukole ku temper zaffe. Nga ewakate wali mirembe oli muyombi nnyo, oli munafu, oli muchafu. No, there are things like we all have our weaknesses. But there are certain things we can work on, especially I speak to single girls in this season of singlehood. You find a lady cannot cook food. She can even never do simple mandazi or chapati for her child, for her babies. Now she knows over 56 styles. And these are things I tell young girls. At the end of the day, there are certain things you hardly know. You are opening doors in your marriage. You are the reason why your husband is running away, looking elsewhere because of your laziness. No, there are things I tell women. Very disrespectful. No sang omuchala ngaito omwami we, mbwagwe, mbizigwe. At the end of the day, you are very disrespectful to your husband. And how do you think you will keep peace in your home? Then you begin, omwami yagenda wano. No, there are things I tell women. I do not know much about conjugal rights, but I am on WhatsApp groups and I follow these things of marriage. You find a lady does not give her husband conjugal rights. At the end of the day, wanyize nnyo. Then he goes and gets it somewhere and nakuletera omwana. You begin cursing. But because you did not use wisdom, no, there are things I tell women. Let us build our houses with wisdom. Nga Bible wetugamba in Proverbs 14 verse 1. Inti omuchala omugezigezi ennyumba yagizimbya magezi. At times we are our own demons, but we do not know. Omwami nakomawe wakalete. Even oluusi omwami ava kola ayina ebimukute n'omusibira ebweru. Wafuna obuzibu yegwa ayibera mu bizibu. But because you have not worked on your temper, we are ngolina temper embi. You know, it is why I show ladies these things. At times they are opening every doors in our marriage to live unhappily. No, ladies, let us work on our tempers. Because a bad temper does not keep a marriage. You are easily angered. You are very unforgiving. You are very jealous. You are very insecure. And you think you will handle a man. No, ladies, are things I speak to myself. Having a teachable spirit, a submissive spirit, a hard-working spirit, a respectful character is what keeps a man. Obufumbo mpisa, obufumbo sintumbwe na kabina, obufumbo mpisa, kubanga kabina kagwako, kati ngempisa zezikuuma omwami. Entumbwe gwako kati ngempisa zezikuuma omwami. As the reason I'm telling women out there, let us use wisdom as we are building our homes. A beautiful face, a beautiful figure, a brown skin may get you a man. But my dear, it is character that keeps a man. You know? No man wants to be with a brown skin who cannot cook. No man wants to be with a beautiful figure who is disrespectful. And the reason I'm sharing these things, ladies out there, when we get to know the way to a man's heart is his stomach. Olia otofumba omuletera KFC toina na budobera ku simu yo. And these are things I'm speaking to ladies out there. When we get to know certain things, respect to a man. Nida mwe ba planned kid katubagambe ko n'obogolera omusajja lwakuba omanyi muyina ssente ewamu. Byebyo biremeseza abaana abawala mu this done era. No, there are things I tell women. You have made a man your identity. No, there are things I tell young people, mostly single girls, I speak to myself. Learn to work on your character. Learn to work on your identity, on your wounds. Because whenever you get married and you think the man is the source of your happiness, you'll be very disappointed. No human being can bring you happiness when you have not learned how to be happy on your own. The things I talk about insecurities in marriage, every time suspecting a man, you assess because you are not tewekirizamu. Buli omu g'omulaba naye, buli omu g'atunulako, naye nga guba tewekirizamu ng'omukyala. You know? And these are things I'm speaking to myself. I'm speaking to ladies out there before we think about marriage. Be aware, beera omukyala azimba omwami wo. Because at the end of the day, omukyala tazimba mwami, naye nga muli mu byakweraga. You are only killing. No, there are things. We live in a generation and while in byakweraga, they are proving a point to the world, make a stress bakayita muboka. And those are modern day marriages. And that is why things don't work out. It is what I'm telling women. Make your home a safe haven. In that your husband will be happy. I'm from work, I'm coming back home. No, you find a man comes home and even he has to fight for sex. There is no peace at home. You have made your home a war zone. Whenever he comes back, you're showing him his weaknesses.